So, Meghna, let's head into our final session of the day. Our final session of the Times Group presents ET Now Global Business Summit. It's titled The Brave New World, Venturing in Times of Uncertainty. Now, it's a thought-provoking session that delves into the dynamic landscape of entrepreneurship in an unpredictable world. This session aims to explore the challenges and opportunities encountered by entrepreneurs as they navigate through uncertain times, offering valuable insights and strategies for success.
Absolutely, Sumit, and this is quite understandably the reason why it is a showstopper, if we can call it that. We'd in fact like to invite up to moderate this session the dynamic Sanjeev Bikhchandani, the founder of Info Edge India. Please do join us up here on the stage.
Maybe someone that we call as the OG of the startup world here in India. And as Mr. Bikhchandani comes up, let's invite up on stage his panelists.
Absolutely. Palicha, the co-founder and CEO of Zepto, is there. And a person who perhaps doesn't need an introduction, Namita, Thapar, the executive director of Emcure Pharmaceuticals. We also have Mukesh, Bansal, the co-founder of Cure.Fit and Myntra as well. Go ahead.
We have Kunal, co-founder Snapdeal and Titan Capital. We have Aman Gupta, co-founder and CMO of Boat, and Sudhakar Adappa, founder and CEO of BIA Brands.
So it's over to you, sharks, if we can call you all that in your
well,
own...
Some sharks are in the tank, but it'll be one of the most exciting sessions here. And with that, we'd hand it over to Mr. Bikhchandani.
Over to you.
Round of applause, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you everyone, and welcome to all the panelists. We've got 7 people on stage and we have 40 minutes. So we're going to keep it tight, quick, short, pacey, and so I won't introduce everybody because that will take 5 minutes. Okay? But since most people are known, it'll be okay. As and when I call them to speak, I'll give a quick 2-line introduction. Yeah? So the topic is venturing in a turbulent environment, or some such thing, but it is that, right? Why don't I start with you, Kunal? Kunal has, founder of Snapdeal, taking a subsidiary of Snapdeal public pretty soon. But he's got another avatar, apart from being an entrepreneur and a founder. He, through Titan Capital, has invested in about 280 startups. So on this stage, he is the person with the most number of startup investments. 280 is pretty prolific by any standard, although it's taken 13 years to do it. So Kunal, why do you invest, and why did you start investing?
It's a pleasure being here, and thank you. I must say that Mr. Bikhchandani is actually the reason many of us, or at least I can speak for myself, that I'm here, because when I was starting up my journey in 2007, there were literally no role models for entrepreneurship and tech entrepreneurship in India outside of India.
A little piece of trivia. I didn't know this, but Kunal told me when he came back to India from the US, he applied to Naukri for a job.
Yes.
And he was interviewed, and we didn't make him the offer. Is that correct?
That's right, that's right.
And so he decided to become an entrepreneur.
Yeah, thank you, I guess. But
no, I didn't interview him. If I'd interviewed him, I would have selected him, but he was interviewed by somebody else.
Yeah. So, look, it was obviously at a time when we started our business, there was nothing known as a startup. Startup only came into national parlance around 2016 or 2015 when the Prime Minister launched Startup India. Back then, in 2007, it was either you ran a business or you did a job. There was nothing known as, nobody knew the word startup. And so obviously we've come a long way in this journey in the Indian startup ecosystem. And in the early days, there was no domestic capital. There were like 5 venture capital firms. Most of the people who actually called themselves angel investors were actually devils, where they would offer 50 lakhs for 60% of the company, which was actually a genuine offer that was made to us as well. And at least the thought my co-founder and business partner Rohit and I had was that if we ever have the opportunity to, and the resources to devote to mentorship and capital to the next generation of startups, we must do that. And we should do that in a fair manner. So in 2011, December, our journey of investing began with a very small check of 30 lakh rupees that we invested in Ola when it was just starting. They were doing 5 rides a day at that point in time. Back then, the seed round valuations used to be a little more modest, like 5 or 6 crore rupees pre-money. And that's how our journey started, and we realized that, look, we just want to help founders. We are not here to monetize, flip, and so our mindset always is invest very early, be the first money in, and then stay invested for a very long period of time. Like for instance, Ola, we stayed invested for 12 years in the company and sold our stake only last year. So.
But tell me, now people have been talking about funding winter, valuations contracting, a lot of money, being very, very discerning and careful before investing in early stage companies. What are you seeing now? Are you still investing, and is it better or worse?
Yeah, so at least our approach has been to be very consistent. We've been investing almost in the same number of companies, 15, 20 companies for 13 years now, in a row. We've not had years where we've done 200 investments or anything. So we've been very consistent. I feel that the stage at which we invest, it doesn't really matter whether there is a funding winter going on, because the amount of money these companies need at that point in time, we can provide ourselves. So the funding winter has never deterred us from anything. We just have a very, very long-term view. We think of ourselves not as angel investors, but as early stage.
So, 280 how many companies have gone bust?
A few dozen would have gone bust, but more than 50% have raised a subsequent round, which is a pretty high ratio.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good. So he's continuing to invest, turbulent times or no turbulent times, and he says, "Humko farak nahi padta." It's okay. It doesn't make a difference to us. Namita, can I come to you next?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so Namita, you are a shark on Shark Tank, right? And you began to invest 2 or 3 years ago, and before that you were not investing. What made you want to invest in startups?
So my father is a first-gen entrepreneur, and we run Emcure Pharmaceuticals out of Pune. We're going to be going public in 3 months, so watch out for that big IPO. And basically,
we charge money for that plug.
Somewhere within us, there was that desire to give back to the entrepreneurial ecosystem. So when you get a lot and you feel grateful, there's that desire to give back, and that was the biggest reason I got excited about Shark Tank India. Thank you. And the second reason, of course, was a selfish reason, because the entire topic here is disruption and staying relevant. And for legacy companies like ours, or for traditional companies, industries like ours, like pharmaceutical, if we really want to stay relevant, we have to be in touch with the startup ecosystem. Today, a lot of health tech companies that are coming to Shark Tank India really help me think through the business, because technology is the only way we can solve the 3 problems facing pharma, which is awareness, access, and affordability. And so it's for selfish reasons that I am involved with the startups. And now Emcure is launching direct to consumer. So all these years, it was just doctors who were our customers. Now it's direct to consumer in a few months, and all these 500 pitches that I've seen as part of the show, and all my lovely co-sharks, there's been so much learning that's going to be put to good use when Emcure diversifies into something like D2C.
Okay, but Namita, see, now you have become, and I mean everybody on Shark Tank, including Aman, become a bit of a celebrity beyond what you already were, Aman. Okay, now. And you received a lot of praise and love on social media, and you've also been trolled a bit, right?
Yes.
How do you deal with that?
Okay, so I like to keep things a bit light, right? Because healthcare is pretty boring. So you want to see how I deal with it?
Yes.
There you go. Anyone familiar with this?
I'm out, and what's the second? Okay, so are you...
So I have one more, Sanjeev, that says Nepo Kid, and that says, Ye meri expertise nahi hai, I'm out. So I didn't carry that t-shirt, but it's sitting somewhere out there. So the best way to deal with trolling is to just have fun with it, to own it, and to embrace it. So that's what I do.
Okay, that's very good. Now, are you planning to launch apparel line? Expertise by Namita.
You know and
Aman, would you invest in it? Would you invest in it?
Aman.
I can't say anything right now, so no comments on that part. But yeah, to add to the question of trolling, I would say that it's become a part. First year when we were trolled, it used to affect us.
आपकी भी हुई थी ट्रोलिंग?
मेरी बाकियों की थोड़ी ज्यादा हुई थी, मेरी कम थी.
आप,
But
आपकी कम क्यों हुई यार? सीक्रेट बता दो यार.
मैं नाम बता सकता हूँ स्टार्टिंग से एंड तक किसकी सबसे ज्यादा हुई थी, बट मेरी कम थी. बट शुरू में इफेक्ट होता था सर. फिर धीरे धीरे मतलब वो क्या बोलते हैं, पहले जैसे तालियों की आदत पड़ गई थी, अब गालियों की भी पड़ गई.
Sorry, I think there are some people who don't understand Hindi. Let's stay with English. I'm also guilty of that.
I don't know how to convert this in English though, but
I was used to claps, now I was used to slaps, now I'm used to claps.
oh yeah, correct. Yes, what she said.
Yeah. Okay. Aadit.
Oh my God.
Now, how many people believe Aadit is less than 30 years old? Okay, so Aadit is 21. He's 21. He's dropped out of Stanford Computer Science, and he started his company in 2021. He's not an investor, right? He's a founder, but he's raised more than $500 million. He runs a company called Zepto. So Aadit, now you've been raising money, and your last round was just a few months back in the funding winter, in these turbulent times.
Yep.
What's it like to raise money right now?
Yeah. Again, I don't know if I should be flattered or a bit embarrassed, but I think the...
No, yeah. it means that being an entrepreneur is not easy. You look over 30.
Yeah, probably will soon as well. But I think to answer your question, look, it was not easy. We raised capital, I think, in the trough of the bear market in September 2023. And if you think about our business at a high level, right, you've got two crazy-looking young founders delivering groceries in 10 minutes, right? That doesn't sound like a fundable business in the worst capital market situation since 2008. But despite that, I think we were able to raise capital at an up round. So we raised $236 million at a $1.4 billion valuation. And we were able to do that, I think, primarily because the way that we approached the fundraise was very different from, I think, how fundraisers were approached before. It was much more, at least I think, we were a lot more bottoms up. We didn't have, high-level narratives. I think our entire data room was 460 pages, each metric in a deep, granular detail, just going into it one by one. And I think the reason why is because the only investors that were investing in this market were investors that did fundamentals-driven bottoms-up analyses and had enough conviction in their own diligence.
Did you get a lot of rejection? Did anybody reject you?
I mean, it sounds difficult to believe, but we actually did get 3 term sheets within the first month of starting. We ended up deciding on a term sheet before the other 6 people that we were engaging with decided.
So what I learned from this is that for a good company, there is no funding winter, right? You will get your money, but are you a good company is the question. And how do you get your company to a position where you'll be regarded as a good company by investors? That's the question to answer.
I'll also just add one last thing. I think the thing is investors that invest in this market tend to be much higher quality, fundamentals-driven investors that are willing to take contrarian bets. Investors
ये तो गलत बात है. You're not investing in this market. You're a low-quality investor. ये ठीक नहीं है. This is not okay. I'm kidding. Okay, I'm kidding. Okay. Sorry, Mukesh, coming to you. Right? You've been a founder, Myntra, then Flipkart. You've morphed into a second founder and running a fund and doing personal investments. How do you view this market? What's it like for you?
See, Sanjeev, I have been around startups for 25 years now. I got my first state of startup ecosystem in late 90s in Bay Area. And there was 99 when it feel like that world is not going to stop. And 2000, suddenly it changed to as if there's no way to dig yourself out of this hole. And since then, I think I've seen 5 cycles. So now, I mean, the benefit of hindsight is that 21, it's crazy year, or 23, you always go back and there are many such years that you look back to, exactly how the cycle plays out. So it doesn't matter. I think for me, I mean, entrepreneurship, Kunal has done phenomenal job with this massive portfolio. Like for me, where I find most joy out of is building outstanding products. So whether I put a founder hat or an investor hat, just, working in the shop, trying to build a great product gives me good joy. Unfortunately, I can't do a lot of that on my own now. So partnering with other co-founders is what I'm trying to do. Like it'll be privileged to, let's say, partner with someone like him. At such a young age, has phenomenal ideas, ambition that I can only dream of. So I think that's the motivation now of Sanjeev.
Great. Great. Aman, coming to you. You are the second shark on this panel.
No, sir, first.
First shark, sorry.
Sorry.
Okay, so you're the first male shark on this panel. Okay, we'll do a compromise, right? So, what does it look like to you? You are still investing, of course, in Shark Tank, and you're investing otherwise also. You're still continuing to invest. What does this funding winter look like to you?
Sir, 2 years back, I didn't even have money to invest. So my wife used to earn and I used to burn her money. Matlab, uske baad, when I got my secondary exit 2 years back, that was 2021, and that was the first year of Shark Tank. So first year when they asked Shark Tank ki list aayi thi that how many investments have you made till now? So I actually used to do, I had done 5 investments, which was like co-investment, 5-10 lakh ki. So I actually became an investor first time on Shark Tank only. I'd never heard pitches before that. I'd only given pitches. So I learned the art of investment sitting in the panel with these sharks and Namita, Anupam and all these guys. They've done investments all their life, right? So I learned a lot on Shark Tank. And I don't invest outside Shark Tank anymore. I don't have, I unfortunately don't have time.
But you still feel optimistic enough to go on to Shark Tank and invest and feel confident? Or,
Sir,
are you doing it for the publicity?
Both, but yeah. But if you ask me, first year I did around 20 investments, out of which, total, jitne humne paise lagaye the, 6 crores I had invested. And there is a company called Skippy. I invested 20 lakhs in it, and I'm just getting an exit of 6 crores. So one company itself is giving me the return of all the rest.
That's
So
excellent.
I actually learned that, this is and I take risks. I think it's a high risk, high reward market, especially, when people were not investing in electronics and, in our space, nobody was investing. But Kaval invested, Kaval, Fireside. None of the VCs and Ps at that time invested in us, and he invested 6 crores only at that time, and I've already returned 100 crores. He still has 3% in our company, right? So I think it's just taking risks on startups, and that's what I did in first Shark Tank. I'm already in the money, and third ke bhi start hui hai. So I think it's good. It's a good way of making money also, sir.
Okay. So, Namita, you also got an exit. There was some talk in the media.
So I'm the first shark to actually get money in the bank.
Yeah,
Aman is just hoping he'll get it.
rivalry TV pe karo.
No, but basically it was a beautiful company that's India's largest airport retailer. They work with 10,000 plus artisans, karigars like we call them, to make these kullards, copper bottles. Beautiful story about India's culture and heritage. And in 18 months, I got 3.5 times the money that I put in. And the money's in the bank, so happy to say that. So it's not just a show for entertainment and education, but I think an exit gives it the seriousness and the respect that the show truly deserves.
Sudhakar, coming to you. Now, Sudhakar is not a financial investor. However, his company acquires products and brands and companies, therefore, and he's building a house of brands. How are you looking at the investing and acquisition environment right now, Sudhakar?
It's a great time to be an investor, whether strategic or financial investor. They say, when the tide is high, you never know who's swimming naked in the beach, because everyone rises with the tide, and it's easy to go with the tide, right? When the times are tough, you kind of differentiate men from the boys. So the opportunities are phenomenal because the expectations have come down quite dramatically. 2 years ago, we can't even talk to a company which is doing a turnover of about 2 million, 2.5 million. They were also, looking at the multiples, which are, I would trying to be polite, but I'm not. It's absurd to me as an investor, right? But right now, the expectations of whether you're an investor, an employee, or a founder, the expectations were far more realistic. I think we all came back to planet Earth. I think 2 years ago, we were, at least the founders and the employees are on planet Mars. Right now, we've come back to Earth. That's a reality check.
So that's good for you, right? Because you're a buyer.
Great for me, not just as an investor, but as a company. We are all going back to fundamentals. I think there is a point where we forgot the fundamentals, but right now we are looking at fundamentals, and profitability has become one of the metric that we are looking at.
Thank you. So listen, we have over here 6 people who are continuing to invest, who are continuing to buy, who are continuing to raise money in this turbulent time. So venturing is alive, and at least large parts of it are well, if not all of it. I'll ask each of them one more question, and then perhaps we can have one or two questions from the audience. We have a total of 20 minutes left. Right? So the one question I want to ask is from the investors first, which is, in this market, what do you look for in a company before you decide to invest? What makes an investable company? I'll go with you first, Kunal.
Actually, as I was saying earlier, that it doesn't matter what market it is, we are looking for exactly the same things. We're looking for, obviously, a fantastic team that has shown some amount of success in anything that they've done before. It could be a job, it could be another venture, it could be, dance, music, anything, sport.
You have invested behind some dancers?
We've invested behind people who have excelled at dancing,
Okay.
but now are doing a new venture. Because to be successful in anything, you require a level of intensity, which is necessary when you're running a business also. That's one. Second is, people tend to focus on large TAMs. People ask questions, iska TAM kitna bada hai? Actually, we look for narrow TAMs. We look for what is a laughably small TAM. The sliver of a market that you can go dominate with the 4 or 5 crore rupees you're going to raise right now, as compared to what is the $1 billion TAM that you're
So
going
I think there's something there, right? And it's borne out by the experience of Naukri, right? So I'll tell you a story, huh? So in 99, we were trying to raise money, right? And bubble market, I spoke to 4 investors and got 3 term sheets. Right? The 4th guy said, no, I will not invest. And I said, why? He said, I love you. You're a great salesman. You made a good pitch. But I will not invest. So I said, why? He said, what is the size of the print advertising market for appointment ads? So I said, maybe 400-500 crores. What is the price difference between print and internet? I said, 1:1,000. And I thought it was an advantage. He said, that means if you get 100% of the jobs that are in print, you will shrink the market to 40 lakhs. There is no market. And he did not invest. Today the company's market cap is what it is. So yeah, we also, as we invest, don't always look at TAM. In fact, we know that if you're building a category creating company, you will create the TAM.
Yeah, the best investments we've made that have worked out historically, whether it was Ola or Urban Company or Mamaearth or any of these, ended up being category creators, and nobody felt that they will be category creators. Like, Boat was a category creator, Zepto is a category creator, all of Mukesh's businesses have been category creators, right? So, and the third is just discipline around unit economics. Because, founders will often say that with scale, my unit economics will improve. They almost never do. It actually gets worse usually. So unit economics, which is making money per unit, post all variable expenses from the get-go.
I think all entrepreneurs and investors, if they take one thing away from this panel, I think it's the last point that he made. That if your unit economics is not working at a small scale, it will not work at a large scale. So be clear and make your unit economics work. If you just take that away from this panel, it's worth its weight in gold. Yeah. So Namita, what do you look for?
So I think with regards to Kunal's point, one point I agree, one point I disagree. From my personal investing style, category creator type companies, you're not going to find too many of those in our country. So for somebody like me who's not a very pro-risk, a little bit more risk-averse type of an investor, I look at the TAM. I want to look at a very large market. I want to look at a market that's growing fast. And I want to look at a founder who has demonstrated sales, product market fit, and has shown that he has the ability to have a USP and is able to capitalize on that large TAM. So for me, having a large TAM and a highly growing TAM, so that I know there'll be scale and I'll get exit as an investor at some point, that's important. The second point, I absolutely agree about the path to profitability. I'm a chartered accountant by profession, so I think maybe that's why a little bit of that conservatism comes into play. We want to see that they have a plan. So while they may be making losses at this point, they have to have a plan in place. And third and most important is we take a bet on the founder. So for me, it's very important that they know their numbers. They have to know every number, whether it's pricing, competition, anything I ask, it has to be in their head. And then with that, they have to have hunger and humility. So these are the three things that I would look at.
So, Aman, what do you look for? And describe for us the last company you invested in and it's announced, and what you liked about it.
Last company I invested in.
And it's announced it. It's made public. Huh?
ऐसे नहीं याद पता नहीं सर याद नहीं आ रहा हाँ Coparo, which was yesterday, it was aired on Shark Tank. So Coparo, and she used to make cleaning detergents and cleaning powders and all that, cleaning liquids. And I think she was a phenomenal founder, and I personally have taken, I don't know whether you've seen Shark Tank, but in season 1 also, this one also, 3 also, I have taken bets on people even without having business plans. Like, Vidit was saying, right, at 21, he had no business experience, he had nothing, but people took a bet on him, like same way people have taken a bet on me. So I think if you take a bet on the founder, he will deliver something, if not in this industry, maybe some other industry. And if he's a good guy, if he knows how to hustle and stays humble, I think he can do something. I think he will return your money somewhere or the other. So I have taken bets on founders, and it has worked for me, sir. I think that is TAM, no TAM, I don't know, but founder bets is most important for me.
Founder bet. So you look at the founder, and that's your biggest bet.
90% founder.
90% founder. बाकी 10%?
बाकी तो सर बाकी चीजें भी देख लेते हैं ना थोड़ी तो मतलब कंपनी क्या कंपनी whether he has a company, whether he doesn't have a company, whether he has which industry is he working on, and whether he knows how to make money. He's not facoing, he's not just he knows the DNA, as as Namita also said, I am also, there is a banya, now you will ask me to convert in English, I don't know, but yeah, there is a mentality I have, right? And then my co-founder is Gujarati.
Okay, between Banyas, Marwadis, Gujaratis and Sindhis, who would you invest behind?
I would prefer Gujaratis. Yeah.
Okay, I don't want to go further into that.
No, but
we might get into trouble.
No, why? I can tell you that they have something in their blood. They know how to do business much better. And my co-founder, he's not a chartered accountant. Samir is not a chartered accountant, but he does finances better than me, or even the CAs we've employed in our company. I think they know dhanda banana aata hai. They know, they eat or drink something which has that, their blood has dhanda in them.
So Namita is Gujarati, right?
I love the way that they eat or drink something.
Okay.
And by the way, all the Guju food I carry on the sets, my papadas and all, he hates it. He doesn't touch it, just for the record.
Okay.
He only thrives on butter chicken.
Okay. You grew up in Delhi, obviously.
Yeah, I did.
Mukesh, which is your best company? And what did you think when you went into it?
I'll just maybe very quick story. So 6 years ago, these 2 ex-ISRO engineers, they reached out to me and they said they want to build this rocket company. It was so audacious, so I met them. I said, "Kya rocket kaise banoge?" You are just 2 guys in your late 20s. And they said, no, we really think India should have a private space company and we know how to do it. We'll get it done. I said, boss, at that time, even regulations was not allowed. And I just estimated it will probably take them 10 years to build a rocket. And VCs will not fund it because, space industry, there's no monetization, no TAM. Then I said, are you willing to work on this for 10 years? They said, yes, if we can just somehow survive and, support our lifestyle. I said, how much will your lifestyle, cost? They said, we have very conservative lifestyle. We can manage our family in 50,000 rupees a month. I said, if I guarantee I'll pay you salary for next 10 years, will you do this for next 10 years? They said, we'll do it for rest of our lives. I invested. Within 5 years, they became the first private space company out of India to launch a rocket in space. So,
this is Agnikul.
Skyroot.
Oh, Skyroot, okay. And how's it doing now?
They are doing incredibly well. So they recently raised money at $500 million valuation. GIC has come in, Temasek, $75 million. They are actively in production to launch first orbital launch. Their order book is over $500 million. these are now letter of intents, let's see, but they are well on their way and to be the first commercial private, space company out of India.
I think that calls for a round of applause. Not just for the founders certainly, but also for the investor to take that crazy bet then, yeah, when he did, right? Aadit, now, what's the best advice any investor ever gave you?
I was telling you before we got in, I think in Kunal actually, week 2 of our business, day 14, when we launched in Bandra and we launched in Marol and Andheri East. And the business just went crazy. We went from like 100 orders a day to a couple thousand orders a day in 14 days. And Suvir, who's the managing director of Nexus and the first institutional investor we brought on board, he was like, this is too fast. This is crazy. I've seen this before. I've seen this movie. Here's a company that's found like some crazy product market fit, some insight. And he just dashed into our office one day. And there was just like 6 guys, 7 guys. We were just like scrambling, trying to figure it out. He got all of us in a room and he said, make a P&L. I didn't know what a P&L was. It was day 14. I said, what is that? And then he pulls out all his, like, he gave me deliveries, early P&Ls. He's like, I want you to make this right now. And I was just thinking, I was like, what is this? But then he showed up at our office every day for a month with the same request, just to not do anything else. I don't know what, he just decided not to go to the office for quite some time. But he just pushed us on that. He pushed us on discipline. He pushed us on rigor. Even today, the level of depth that he operates in is phenomenal. So I think that was one thing that really set the culture and the DNA of the company. And I think the second best advice that I ever got was from our Series B lead investor that said, and he's invested in like multiple successful consumer internet companies in the US. And he said that the only thing that matters for any consumer business is execution. Every other vector, whether it's capital, whether it's even like strategic, advantages, all of that is nothing compared to execution. So those are the 2 biggest pieces of advice that we got.
Great. Tell me, what about you? How should founders conduct themselves in these times that they are able to get the funding they want or need, or at least get acquired by you?
I think founders need to stick to fundamentals. These funding cycles, they're a matter of global liquidity, and these funding cycles, and I'm sure you've seen 4 or 5 booms and a bust, right? So these cycles will come and go. It's a matter of global liquidity, and you should always stick to your fundamentals. So the moment you stick to your fundamentals and try and run a business, I think you'll be fine. That's what I think.
Got it. So we've got the advice. We've got answers to our questions. We have 4 minutes left. We can take maybe 2 or 3 questions from the audience. We'll ask the lady here first. Ma'am, just raise your voice and I'll repeat your question. So
Namita, this question is for you. You said there are 3 things that you look at. Access and one that
TAM, profits and founder.
No, awareness, access and...
Healthcare. The 3 A's are awareness, access and affordability. The 3 biggest challenges in healthcare. Sorry.
Those who don't make it to Shark Tank, because Shark Tank selects only a few, how should those companies,
Can I take one mic down?
Yeah, sure.
If you don't mind sharing the mic, we can get down so the audience can also hear the question.
Yeah. So the question is, those who don't make it to Shark Tank, how can they come to you and get funding?
So to me personally, right? So we've started a fund. I've started my own personal fund. I'm happy to meet you after we're done and share my contact details. So my fund has a good team because obviously my majority of my job is Emcure and running Emcure. So I have a really good team in place that outside of Shark Tank looks at a lot of healthcare companies that come our way. And now given that I have 40 plus companies in my portfolio, thodi to expertise ban gayi hai healthcare mein. So you're very welcome to approach
And
us.
if you like her Instagram post, she'll give you a meeting faster.
Yeah, that too. Okay.
Yeah, there was a question there. Yes, sir. Yeah. You can just say your name and...
Hi, Kapil here, a fellow investor. Investors are normally eternal optimists. You always try to find something where you want to invest. But there's always a conundrum as well, that while you're seeking and you're doing your due diligence, you lose out on the deal. Has there been something that you missed out on? And what have the learnings been for investors?
So anti-portfolio, kaun jayega? Okay, I'll go. My anti-portfolio reads like a who's who. Okay. There are two people on this panel whom I had the opportunity to invest in, but I did not. There are Ola pre-series A, seed round, Flipkart, pre-series A, Lenskart, okay, and a few others, many. And people still think I'm a smart investor, right? But the truth is at early stage, you're taking yes/no bets, right? And predictability is poor, okay? And the reason why we are still regarded as a good investor is because some of the bets we took worked out, right? Zomato and Policy Bazaar worked out, so people say you're a good investor. So I'm not sure we're that good, because you said no to so many good ones, but who worked out. So I look at it philosophically. I don't look at it like, hey man, I said no to this and it worked out and I missed it. I say, the ones you did some of those work out? If they did, be happy.
Actually, put another way, you don't need to be in all the good companies. You just need to make sure yours are good. The ones you've actually invested in are good. And in the realm of investing, not feeling FOMO is actually a superpower. The biggest mistakes are usually made when investors give in to FOMO. ये 5 नेम ब्रांड लोग भी इन्वेस्ट कर रहे हैं, चलो इनको तो कुछ पता होगा. बहुत बारी उनको भी कोई आइडिया नहीं होता है. तो अपनी कन्विक्शन पे इन्वेस्ट करना चाहिए. Not don't borrow conviction, just make it on yours. And at least my philosophy is, when in doubt, don't invest.
And still you invest in 300 companies.
Yeah, so it's like this. I'm never in doubt, but I'm often wrong. Yeah. Any more questions? Yes, sir. Question. Revenue or EBITDA?
Just return on equity. You have to do both.
Are you 21?
He's like a freebie, not 21 yet, right?
Yeah. Yes, sir. What about investment in
CSR? Whether any schools are being built, something is done for the downtrodden. Of course, profit is the essence which drives everyone. But some portion, some money is earmarked. So I want to hear about that.
Yeah, so I'll tell you the way we looked at it. We were pretty clear. We were pretty clear that the company's money is the shareholders' money. We do not have the right to give it to any third party just because the two founders like somebody, right? Until the government introduced the CSR law, which said 2% profits will have to go to CSR. And that is when we began to do CSR, okay? But fundamentally, we believe that company's money, shareholders' money, आपको CSR करना है, आप dividend लेके कर दो, आप अपने share बेच के कर दो. That's what we felt. And I believe that stand was right. And when it became law, we began to follow the law. And now we do company CSR. And I'm sure all of these companies, as and when they get to profit, and many of them are at profit, will do CSR. Yeah.
No, but that's a brilliant question, even from the perspective of there were a lot of companies that came on Shark Tank, the sanitary napkins, recycling companies working with farmers, Hak Darshak that gives government schemes to villagers and make sure, they charge them 500 rupees but make sure they get those schemes. It is possible to do good and to do well. So there are enough companies that are straddling the path. I mean, of course, once you become successful, you can give your 2% to CSR. But there are a lot of companies that are really balancing social impact and profitability beautifully. And impact investing in this country will get bigger as years go by.
Hello, can I just last?
Yeah. The time is up. Last question, sir.
Yeah, I'm a professional, I'm a cardiologist. I just wanted to know the mindset of the investors. I mean, I'm Dr. Vivek Gupta and working in Apollo. How much is the return of investment broadly they look at? I'm talking if I talk to somebody outside India or Dubai or something. I just wanted to know my mind, how much is the return of investment a good investor look at before agreeing to become one of the investors?
So
in healthcare.
Is there a target IRR? That's the question, I think.
In healthcare, Namita, you want to answer? Go first.
You know, healthcare, I'll talk predominantly about health tech companies, right? Because
Not
most
health
of
tech, something like hospitals and education, both.
So hospitals and all are so massive at this point that it's more private equity than angel investing or early stage venture capital. And private equity come with a very straightforward formula. The ticket size is larger, the IRR they're looking at. So for example, we had Blackstone that invested in us, and then Bain Capital took their stake. So they come with a global predetermined IRR, which is, you know, again, it does not fit in the startup formula at all. It's always on the higher side because the ticket size is higher.
It's a huge. The only private equity can work in
Yeah,
that.
okay. So we'll have to end here.
Hospitals for sure.
We'll have to end here. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you to the panelists. Thank you so much.
Let's have a huge round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, for our fantastic panel and our lovely moderator, Mr. Sanjeev Bikhchandani. What an awesome way